My name is Amanda Foster, and I'm 27 years old. Growing up in a family where favoritism ruled, I learned to brace for the worst. But nothing topped what my parents unleashed on my wedding day. They refused to show sneering, "Why did she marry such a useless husband?" My brother mocked me straight to my fiancé's face, blind as a bat. I stayed calm. I said nothing. But when the wedding day came, the doors exploded open, reporters flooded in, cameras blazing, shouting the shocking truth. Who were these reporters? What bombshell did they uncover? Let me tell you what really happened that day, how their scorn flipped to stunned silence. Before coming to my story, I want to know what time you are listening and what city you are in. I am happy to know how far my story spreads. 6 months before that day, the confrontation hit our Silver Lake condo hard. Nathan and I had returned from Bali, the sun still in our skin, when the intercom buzzed. "Family downstairs," the doorman announced. I exchanged looks with Nathan. We couldn't ignore them forever. "Send them up," I said, heart sinking. The elevator dinged, and Mom, Dad, and Ryan stepped out, their faces a mix of expectation and unease. They scanned the open space, the modern kitchen, the view of the hills, Mom's eyes lingering on the framed photo from our hike proposal. "Amanda, we need to talk." Mom started sitting on the couch uninvited. Nathan stood by the window, arms crossed, giving me space. Ryan paced near the bookshelf, his hands fidgeting. "What's this about, Dad?" I asked, keeping my tone even. "Ryan's latest venture, the racing track. It's close to launch, but we need seed money," Dad said, pulling out a folder of sketches and numbers. "Investors backed out. We thought with your connections to Nathan's world, you could help." I glanced at the folder, then at Ryan, who avoided my eyes. This after everything I said, voice low. "The wedding. You missed the voicemails you left." Mom leaned forward, her expression softening the way it did when smoothing over arguments. "We came to apologize, Amanda. It was a mistake. We were hurt by the guest list." "Hurt." I repeated the word, tasting bitter. "You chose Hawaii for Ryan's scouting over my day." Dad nodded slowly. "We realize now, but family sticks together. That's why we're here, for Ryan's future." Nathan shifted slightly, his presence steady but silent. Ryan finally spoke up, his voice edged with frustration. "You always make it about you, sis. The track could change everything for Dad's shop, too." I stood up, the folder untouched on the table. "If you're here to apologize, do it right, own what you did, the abandonment, the way you used my day for networking." Mom's eyes widened slightly, then she sighed. "We're sorry you felt excluded. It was never our intent to hurt you." The words hung there, a non-apology dressed as regret, shifting blame to my feelings. Nathan's jaw tightened, but he let me lead. "That's not owning it," I said, stepping closer. "I want you to say you were wrong to ditch me for Ryan's trip, to prioritize him again like always." Dad rubbed his chin, looking uncomfortable. "We supported his dreams, Amanda. You understand that, don't you?" Ryan crossed his arms, defensive now. "It's not just about the wedding. The track needs $50,000 to start, and with Nathan's family you could make an introduction." I shook my head, the pieces clicking. Their visit wasn't remorse, it was a pitch. "No," I said, firm. "No introductions, no money, and no more contact unless you apologize properly, without excuses." Mom's face hardened for a second, then softened again. "Amanda, think of family blood is thicker." "Not when it's one-sided," I replied, my voice steady despite the ache. Nathan moved to my side, his hand on my shoulder, supportive. Ryan snorted under his breath, but Dad spoke up. "Let's not overreact. We can fix this." The non-apology exposed their pattern, the same deflection from years back. I pulled out my phone, dialing our lawyer on speaker. "This conversation ends now," I said as the line connected. The lawyer's voice came through clear and professional. "Ms. Foster, how can I assist?" Send a cease and desist to these numbers I instructed. Block all unsolicited contact effective immediately. Mom's mouth opened in shock. Amanda, what are you doing? Protecting myself, I said, hanging up the call. Nathan nodded approval as I blocked their numbers right there. The screen flashing confirmation. Ryan's face reddened. You can't cut us off like this. Watch me, I replied, the door opening behind them. They left in silence, the elevator doors closing on their stunned expressions. That night Nathan held me as the weight lifted slightly, the clean break a step toward peace. The lawyer confirmed the letter sent next day warning against further harassment. No calls, no visits, just quiet. Their silence lasted weeks, then months, the demands for Ryan's funding fading into nothing. But the real cost showed later, their choices catching up in ways I never pushed for. 1 year earlier, the abandonment that led to it unfolded on my wedding morning in Malibu. I'd spent the night in the cliffside suite with my bridesmaid Lisa, the ocean waves crashing below. Excitement bubbled, but anxiety gnawed after the rehearsal tensions. At 8 a.m., Lisa dialed the hotel rooms for pickup, no answer. Try again, I said, pulse quickening. Still nothing. They must be grabbing coffee, I muttered, doubt creeping. Half an hour later, I called the front desk myself. Ms. Foster, the clerk, replied. They checked out at dawn, left a message. My stomach dropped. Message for what? Lisa retrieved it, her face paling as she played the voicemail on speaker. Mom's voice cut through, clear and deliberate. Let us see how you handle the guests without us there. A follow-up text explained they'd used the trip funds for Ryan's Hawaii scouting since I didn't value their input. The room spun, pain sharp in my chest, not just absence, but the deliberate jab timed to leave me scrambling. Who pulls this on their daughter? I whispered, tears welling. Lisa wrapped an arm around me. This isn't on you, Amanda. Breathe. But the empty chairs, the dances, the photos all shattered. Call Nathan. I nodded, voice breaking. He answered immediately. What's wrong? They left voicemail ditching us for Ryan, I choked out. I'm coming, he said. No, traditions matter. 10 minutes later, he burst in, tux pants on, shirt untucked, eyes fierce as he pulled me close. I'm here, he murmured, stroking my hair. We'll make it ours. His calm anchored me as he phoned his parents. Gregory and Patricia arrived fast, Patricia enveloping me in a hug. We can't fill the gap, but if you'll allow Gregory walks you down. Fresh tears came, but grateful I nodded. Yes, please. For prep, Patricia offered I'd be honored to help with your gown. As stylists worked, she shared light stories of her own nerves zipping the dress, fastening my locket with gentle hands. You look radiant, she said, voice warm. Just then, a knock sounded. Lisa opened to Aunt Rebecca, mid-50s, sharp eyes like Mom's, holding a small box. Nathan called. I couldn't miss this, she said, stepping in, especially after the voicemail. Some patterns run deep. Cousin Tyler followed behind him from Portland, his face set with quiet anger. He drove all night when Nathan reached out. Tyler hugged me tight. Your mom and I haven't spoken in years, but this crosses lines, he said low. Patricia nodded. We stand with you. Their presence, the family I craved, eased the sting, turning dread to resolve. The estate grounds gleamed under the sun, guests filling the terrace. In the bridal room, surrounded by Lisa, Rebecca, Tyler, and Patricia, I straightened my veil ready. The coordinator whispered, all seated, but press at the gate word spread on the Brooks event. Keep them back, I said, nothing to hide. Music swelled, the procession began. Gregory offered his arm tucks impeccable honor to escort you, he said softly. Though this isn't the plan. Thank you, I replied. Linking arms, it saves the day. He squeezed gently as we stepped out the terrace path lined with blooms. Guests rose, eyes curious, sympathy in some faces, whispers of no-shows rippling. Then Nathan at the arch, his gaze locking mine, love, steadying everything. Gregory handed me over. Who gives this woman? He boomed, Aunt Rebecca, my wife and I. Rebecca dabbed her eyes from the front row, Tyler beside her nodding firm. The ceremony flowed emotional. Nathan's vows rang true. Amanda, I promise partnership, fierce support, a family that shows up no conditions. My response trembled, but clear, Nathan. I vow the steady love you've given unconditional as we build ours. The officiant pronounced us, joined applause, rising wave of relief. Nathan's kiss sealed it, tender and sure. Reception under string lights, tables set with fresh catches, the band playing soft. Patricia had adjusted seating, no glaring gaps. Midway, a commotion erupted, doors to the terrace flew open. Reporters surged in, cameras flashing, security scrambling. Tycoon's secret wedding, they shouted, the Brooks heirs low-key tie the knot. Guests murmured, excitement building as guards herded them back. But the buzz lingered, the leak, turning our intimate day public. Nathan squeezed my hand. Ignore it, this is us. The dance followed, Gregory leading me out, graceful steps, his hold fatherly. Then Nathan and Patricia joined, followed by pairs until the floor pulsed with connections. Tyler pulled Rebecca into bridging old rifts. Speeches came, best man on laughs, maid of honor on strength. Then Nathan raised his glass, today proves real family shows up, celebrates the hard days. To Amanda, my partner in chosen bonds. Cheers echoed, I scanned the room, love surrounding where blood failed. That night, as stars dotted the sky, the abandonment shadow faded their choice, freeing me to embrace this new circle. 18 months back, the war that sparked the ditch ignited during wedding planning in Los Angeles. Nathan and I had settled on the Malibu estate for 120 guests, intimate and coastal, but Mom called with demands. Amanda, we need to add 18 more. She said, voice insistent, Dad's clients and a few relatives, they deserve to share this. The venue holds steady at 120, I replied. From my desk at the agency, spreadsheets open. But these connections matter. Mom pressed, your ties to Nathan's circle could help Dad's shop and Ryan's ideas. I paused, the pitch clear, networking, not celebration. This is our day. Mom, not a business mixer. Dad got on the line, his tone gruff. You owe us for raising you. These folks supported us through tough times. Supported, I echoed the word, heavy with irony, when Ryan's racing gear drained the savings. Mom sighed dramatically. We sacrificed for the family, Amanda, don't make this hard. The call dragged as she listed names, Garcias, Lopez's, old shop regulars who'd never called me. No, I said final. The list closes soon. She hung up with a huff, but texts followed, daily suggestions for venues. Flowers, even the cake, all laced with guest ads. Nathan saw my frustration over dinner tacos from the truck down the street. They're turning it into their event, he said, fork pausing. I nodded, the warmth of his support contrasting their push. 2 weeks later, we flew them to LA for fittings, the Pasadena house as base. Gregory and Patricia greeted them warmly, but Mom's eyes widened at the estate's scale. This is stunning, she breathed, pulling me aside. You never mentioned Nathan's full background. Wanted you to know him first, I explained, but her nod turned calculating. Dinner that night, Dad cornered Gregory over appetizers. Your software work impressive. Ryan has this racing facility concept, needs partners like you. Gregory smiled, polite but neutral. Interesting, tell me more. Ryan jumped in, animated. The track would host events, tie into auto tech apps, your field. I cringed, the exposure blatant, using our vows for ventures. Patricia changed the subject to my designs, but Mom steered back, guest list. Amanda, those 18 are key for Dad's network. Mom, the space won't allow, I said, plate untouched. She leaned in, her voice low but sharp. If they're not invited, we might skip the whole thing. The threat landed cold, my fork clattering. Nathan's hand found mine under the table steady. The next day at the venue walkthrough, Mom arrived with printed invites for the extras. "I've taken care of it," she announced to the planner, ignoring my protest. "Mom, stop," I said, pulling her aside. "This is my wedding, my choices." She crossed her arms, eyes narrowing. "You always do this." "Amanda, act like we don't count after we flew out." "You count as guests," I replied, voice rising. "Come support us or don't come at all." Dad overheard, his face reddening. "That's no way to talk, family." Ryan smirked from the doorway. "Classic, you bossing everyone." The air thickened their alliance against me clear. "The line drawn," I said, stepping back. "No more changes or stay home." Mom's expression iced over fine. "Then we won't attend your little party." They stormed to the car, Dad muttering in gratitude, Ryan slamming the door. Nathan wrapped an arm around me as dust settled, their empty threat echoing the old pattern. Back at the condo, I paced the living room, the rehearsal dinner looming. "Lisa called to check in. You okay?" "They're out," I said, sinking onto the couch, the weight pressing. She arrived with wine, her presence grounding. "They'll back down," she said, but doubt gnawed. The days blurred, fittings altered, seating charts, redone without their input. Mom's texts stopped cold, no check-ins, just silence. Nathan handled vendors calmly, his calm a rock. The rehearsal night at a seaside bistro, the air salty, tension high. Empty chairs marked their spots, the planner noting adjustments. As toasts rang hollow without them, I felt the rift widen, their absence a preview. Nathan pulled me aside, his eyes serious. "Whatever happens tomorrow, it's us." I nodded, resolve, hardening their war, pushing me to claim my day. The ultimatum stood no compromise, their threat hanging like a storm cloud. But in that moment, I chose my path forward, boundaries firm. 2 years prior, the engagement that set the dismissiveness in motion happened on a crisp afternoon in Runyon Canyon. Nathan and I had hiked the trail, sweat beading our shirts, the city sprawl below. We'd been together 18 months, his quiet strength pulling me deeper. At a scenic overlook, he stopped, pulling a small box from his pack. "Amanda," he said, kneeling on the dusty path, "I love how you chase your visions, build worlds from code, the way you laugh at bad puns." His blue eyes held mine, ring glinting, simple platinum band with a single diamond. "Will you marry me?" Tears blurred my view. "Yes," I whispered, pulling him up, our kiss sealing it amid the scrub. The ring fit perfect, his grin wide as we descended hand in hand. Back at the condo, I dialed home, the number familiar yet distant after sparse calls. "Mom, Dad," I said when they picked up, "big news, I'm engaged." Pause stretched, Mom's voice cautious. "That's sudden. Who is he?" "Nathan." "From work we met at an event, he does software development." I kept vague, per our agreement, no Brooks reveal yet. "Software." Dad repeated, perking up. "Stable or what?" "He builds apps." I said intentionally, "Light growth potential, good pay." Mom hummed, "Well, hope it's solid, marriage is big." No whoops, no questions about the ring, just that flat tone echoing old dismissals. "When can we meet him?" she added. "Soon," I suggested, "dinner next month." Hanging up, I felt the familiar deflate, Nathan hugging me from behind. Give them time. A month later, we flew to Portland, the house smelling of Mom's lasagna. They set the table casual, but eyes sharp on Nathan. He dressed simple jeans, button down, no flash. "So Nathan, what exactly do you do?" Dad asked, passing the bread. "I develop software for urban projects." Nathan replied, easy smile, focusing on community apps. Mom nodded, polite, but her follow-up landed soft. "Does he have a stable job?" Amanda, tech shifts fast. "Nathan's fine, Mom. I cut in salary, 60,000 plus benefits." Dad grunted, "Sounds okay, but racing's real. Ryan's got plans there." Ryan lounged at the end, smirking, his latest gear pile in the corner. "Congrats, sis," he said, "but marrying a coder, huh? Aiming safe." The table tensed. Nathan chuckled it off, talking volunteer work, teaching kids basic programming. Interesting, Mom said, but practical for family support. Before he responded, I jumped in. Nathan succeeds in his field. We're secure. The meal dragged Dad steering to Ryan's racing app idea needs funding. Nathan listened, courteous but neutral. After dinner, Mom pulled me to the kitchen. He seems nice, but sure about this, Amanda? Careers like yours, marriage might slow you. Her concern rang hollow after years of sidelining my path. I'm sure Mom. Nathan encourages my work. The visit wrapped cool handshakes, no warmth. Flying back, Nathan squeezed my hand, their lukewarm hit hard. Pattern clear, same as always, more spark for Ryan's fails than my news. 2 months on, we invited them to LA, the Pasadena dinner, to share Nathan's world. Stepping into the Brooks home, Mom's jaw dropped, the grand entry, the views. You hid this. Mom hissed in the hall, accusatory. Wanted genuine connection first, I whispered. Dinner shifted, Dad eyeing Gregory, your empire. Ryan's racing tech could sync apps for tracks. Gregory nodded polite, but Mom piled on guest ideas for the wedding, include Dad's contacts. The reaction exposed their dismissiveness, prioritizing Ryan over joy. First red flag hit when Dad asked about Nathan's stability again, ignoring the ring show. The pattern recognition stung their excitement for Ryan's flop more than our bond. I drew breath. This is about us, not ventures. But the seed planted their lukewarm, fueling doubts. 4 years earlier, the collision that started it all took place at an art gallery in downtown Los Angeles. My agency had sponsored the event showcasing digital installations, and I was setting up a booth tweaking screens with code snippets. The crowd milled, artists, donors, the air humming with chatter. I reached for a cable brush against someone spilling my coffee across his sleeve. Oh no, sorry, I blurted, grabbing napkins. He laughed, wiping it off. No harm. You just added character to this plain shirt. His smile disarmed me, easy confidence in his stance. I introduced myself, Amanda Foster, lead designer here. Nathan, he said. Extending a hand, Nathan Brooks, but call me Nate. We talked the exhibit, his questions sharp on interactive art, how code breathed life into pixels. He shared thoughts on urban murals blending tech with street scenes, nothing boastful, just genuine interest. As the event wound down, he asked for my card, would love to hear more about your projects. I handed it over, surprised by the spark. Our first coffee meetup came a week later at a cafe near Echo Park. Nate arrived in a faded hoodie jeans scuffed from hikes. He talked his volunteer gig teaching web basics to inner-city kids, patience in debugging their first sites. I shared my freelance start coding late nights to afford tools. He listened, nodding. Impressed you bootstrapped that impressive. Dates followed, low-key a walk in Griffith Park, discussing app designs for community gardens or tacos, where he sketched ideas on napkins. Nate drove an old sedan, nothing flashy, lived in a modest mid-city apartment, books stacked on every surface. 6 months in, I fell for this unpretentious man who remembered my favorite brew, who fixed my laptop glitch during a storm. His humble persona, the volunteer teacher coding for good, not glory, drew me close. Then the slow reveal crept in. He invited me to a tech mixer at a rooftop in Hollywood, suits everywhere. As we entered, heads turned, staff greeting him by name. A venture capitalist clapped his back, Nate Brooks, the app wizard. I whispered to him why the star treatment. He rubbed his neck uneasy. There's more to me, Amanda. Over drinks, he explained, full name Nathan Brooks of Brooks Innovations, the family firm behind cloud software, billions in enterprise tools. Why keep it quiet? I asked, the room spinning slightly. People treat me different. He said they chase favors or assume I coasted on name. With you, I wanted real Nate, the guy you bumped into, not the heir. The revelation landed heavy, the gap between my scrappy path and his legacy. Does this change us? I probed, heart racing. He searched my face, genuine worry there. I took time processing, nights pacing my apartment, the contrast stark. But it didn't alter the core, the man who showed up for kids who valued my grit over flash. No, I decided I fell for you, not the empire. Honesty forward, we agreed. He introduced me to Gregory and Patricia Brooks at their Pasadena home, the space elegant but lived in. Gregory shook my hand firm, started with one line of code in the garage, never forgot the hustle. Patricia smiled, warm from accounting roots to charity boards. We adore how you ground, Nate. They asked about my designs. LA life, no pressure, just curiosity. Their welcome eased the shift, turning potential wedge into bridge. My independence shone through, already senior at the agency handling multi-million client sites, freelance on the side. Nate admired it. You carved this alone, remarkable. The engagement seed planted, but their world amplified mine quietly. Dates evolved subtle perks like reserved gallery access, but Nate kept it grounded, insisting on public transit sometimes. The humble Nathan persisted, the teacher persona, blending with CEO glimpses, board meetings he downplayed as meetings. I thrived in the balance, my career surging, proposals landing, while his support fueled it. The pattern of self-made strength echoed my past, but with him it felt shared, not solo. It all traced back to the foundation in Portland, where the favoritism took root in our modest ranch house on a rainy street. I was 8 when Ryan arrived, the boy Mom and Dad had waited for to carry on Dad's auto repair legacy. From his first cry, they doted gear for toy cars by toddlerhood. My report card's straight A's hung on the fridge briefly, then overshadowed by Ryan's block towers. In elementary school, I won the district coding contest, building a simple game on an old computer, the trophy gleaming. Dad glanced at it once before rushing to Ryan's soapbox derby, where he placed last but got cheers and a new set of wheels. Money stayed tight. Dad's shop scraping by on oil changes and tire rotations. He complained about overhead, but funds materialized for Ryan's early racing cart at age 10, a $500 starter kit. Mom balanced the books at her firm, always citing budgets when I needed new shoes for school. Ryan's requests, though, sparked miracles, a helmet, goggles, track fees. Your brother builds character, she'd say, as if mine lacked it. High school brought more, the gap widening. I aced AP Computer Science, led the robotics club, our robot-winning regionals. Graduation neared, I applied to Oregon State full scholarship in web design honors program. The ceremony day came, Dad missed it. Ryan's go-kart engine blew, needing a midnight tow. Mom stayed too, consoling him. I walked alone, cap tassels swaying, friends cheering, but the empty seat stung. College loomed, I packed for Corvallis dorm life, a bus ride away. Part-time at the campus cafe mornings, coding tutor afternoons, every cent for fees, books, laptop. Summers back home, I fixed Dad's shop computer for free, but praise went to Ryan's first real race, a junior circuit entry costing $2,000. They refinanced the house for it, the papers signed quietly, my calls home short, Mom updating on Ryan's speeds, Dad grumbling bills. I graduated 4 years later, summa cum laude, the diploma crisp in my hands. Family sent a card. Generic congrats, Ryan had a qualifier that weekend. The pattern solidified, family only values Ryan. His dreams funded, mine dismissed as given. Job offer came, entry-level designer in Portland, $40,000 start, but I eyed bigger. Dad scoffed during dinner, web fiddling, won't last, get shop work. Mom nodded. Ryan's racing could go pro. I left for Los Angeles 6 months later, suitcase in hand, one-way ticket. Rented a studio in Echo Park, shared walls, thin but freedom thick. Freelance gigs built to full-time at a small agency coding sites for local businesses. Paychecks covered rent, groceries, no safety net. Ryan dropped community college for full-time racing loans from parents piling. They bailed each crash, each fine the shop, dipping into red. My promotions ignored texts about new clients, met with Ryan updates his lap time sponsors teased. Holidays tense. Thanksgiving 3 years in, I confronted over turkey, you enable his risks while I grind alone. Dad's fork dropped, you abandoned us for LA. What do you know? Mom teared up, Ryan stormed out. I flew back early. Contact thinned cards, unanswered calls, brief. Self-reliance became armor paying own way, succeeding solo. The foundation cracked early, but I built on it strong. Now in 2025, their choices boomeranged Ryan's debts, leading to foreclosure. The shop shuttered, his races ended, unemployed, drifting. I run Foster Designs with Nathan's quiet back, but my merit core, our child on the way, raised in balance, no favoritism. I learned to succeed without you, the prophecy holding true boundaries.